Meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. I would ask everyone to please rise to salute our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Here.
Councilmember Giusti.
Here.
Costa.
Here.
Mono.
Here.
Delariva.
Here.
Hudson. Yes. Sondemire.
Here. Thank you. Also with us, Jay McCarthy, our municipal clerk, and our borough attorney, Tracy Wang from Dorsey Center. Welcome everybody here this evening. This is an official meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale. January 4th, 2014. The date, time, and place of this official meeting was faxed and mailed to all local news media posted here at Borough. We have no need at this time for a early executive session. I do have one non-agenda item, which is a credit. I'm going to ask for a motion on an interest amount on a tax bill. I'll explain in detail when we get to it. And also the appointment of a member to our environmental commission as well. So those are two non-agenda items we will be dealing with. Moving along, I need a motion to open to public comment.
So
Second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone wishing to speak, please come up, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, I need a motion to close. So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Reports, I'll start with Jane. Do you have anything for us?
Nothing at this time.
And Tracy, anything for us? Any council member have a liaison or committee report?
I'm not sure if I mentioned it before. Remember we discussed about smoke detectors in like daycares and stuff like
Carbon.
carbon monoxide. Yes,
right.
exactly. And I did talk to Mr. Rublione, the superintendent. He was going to try and do some research and stuff because mainly it's a cost issue about whether it can be hooked into the existing fire detection system or not, because obviously if they had to run new monitoring equipment and stuff like that, that would become a much higher item. But they certainly agreed it was a good idea if they could.
On the Board of Ed front, well, at the very least, possibly we could do a resolution, send it to the State Department of Education, something they want to consider. Because I don't think we can control that.
No, they wanted to, they agreed there was an idea that they would like to do if they could find, if it was.
But to keep keep the council up to date, our attorney's office had prepared a sample ordinance on that from a construction perspective for residential and or commercial occupancies, and that is currently in our ordinance review committee. And it's obviously triggered a lot of questions and issues on enforcements, and do we have liabilities if we have it and we didn't enforce it in a certain case. So it's all being reviewed before I bring anything in front of the council. So, but thank you very much, Rich, for that. Does anyone else have any other matter?
Yeah, John, Mark's not here tonight, but I know as of Monday, we also talked that we're going back to the 5 o'clock whistle,
Yes.
starting this Monday. So if you do get any calls by the moment at 5 o'clock, they made a change to the alarm system test would be 5 o'clock, and then our normal 6:45 pager test will be as is. So it's going to start on Monday, and then I think he's going to try to contact them and put something in the trends.
Yes. He has. And we'll get it on Facebook.
Yeah, it's going to be on Facebook and
and website as well. Does anyone else have anything? The one thing I have, and I feel terrible that we didn't do a moment of silence when we could do it at our next meeting, is the passing of Chuck Benke, a fireman in our town. Sudden passing, a very sad event. So our hearts go out to the family, and may rest in peace. And Jane, do a moment of silence at our next meeting. I'm totally remiss in doing that. We're meeting on the 24th, but everyone mark your calendars that June 27th, Friday, is our fireworks in town. The only other comment I have is regarding, for the public record and just to keep the council up to speed, is the status of our Sloan Park DEP application. I'm sad to inform the public and my council that the DEP has declined our application for our flood mitigation project. Now, it's not the end all. We went to the DEP last week, and I believe we're going to be okay. It's just a frustrating process. The DEP, within their own regulations, has a certain number of days they have to approve or deny an application. And as a result of the objectors' comments, it just kind of put DEP in a defensive mode, and they just felt they couldn't make a decision by this specific date, which was the Tuesday after Labor Day, that the application had to be denied or approved. They told us the Thursday before the holiday weekend, giving us absolutely no time to, do a new model or whatever it is required. So to make life easy, I'm going on record that they denied the application, which they did, but I, at our engineer's recommendation, ended up withdrawing the application because we can immediately resubmit. If we did a formal declination by then it's a 120-day process and just a much longer drawn-out issue for us. So it ended up coming down to them having problems with our model, which, by the way, they had for 2 years. Our model, which, by the way, we had 3 pre-application meetings, and they've approved it and said the model would work. It was mimicking the 100-year storm, that all our models would show the impact of a 100-year storm and how our project would help the situation. Well, at the final hour, they had issues with our model. The final hour literally was leaving us 2 business days to do anything about it. And it comes down to an inch of water is what it comes down to. So long story short, we had a 4.5-hour meeting last Thursday, myself and our 3 engineers. We know we can accommodate their concern. The only discouraging part is it's a new application. It's another $13,500 for the borough and an application fee. And we're confident we'll have an approval in 45 days. The one thing that could throw a wrench in this is if the objector then appeals if we get an approval, and that could tie it up for 2 years, if an objector actually appealed, if our decision is positive. So that's where we are. We'll have our final plan in this week to the DEP, and they're giving, I believe, 10 days for comment from the objector and public matter, for that matter. And I'm confident we'll have an approval in 45 days. Our goal is to still break ground by Labor Day. And again, that's where we are. Very discouraging. Having to pay another $13,000 in an application fee.
Does this affect moving the valve?
No. The interconnects that we need to deal with for the Butler water supply is a separate issue. That's not the issue is the walls and their concern of us changing the rate of the river, which the objector feels could harm them, and we've proven it actually will better their situation. So interesting, and I'll keep you informed. But what is this? 2 years? It'll be 3 years in November. We've had funding in place, and it's just frustrating that the DEP gives us such short time after having our model for 2 years. But our goal, and our engineers are confident that by Labor Day we'll be moving forward. Okay. Any questions on that? All right, that's all I had on that issue. I need now a motion to approve the consent agenda. Who makes that motion?
So moved. Mr. Brenda, I need 2 resolutions. Resolution 2014-6.1 and 6.2.
And you have 3 though.
Do I have 3?
Yes, you have it.
I just need to approve the
We have 3 resolutions, part-time Jacob Line, part-time Mike Bagliardi, and confirming Robert Westlake as a new property maintenance officer. That was the original line.
Okay,
You want to
that's fine. Fine. That's fine.
you combine Jacob and Mike? I'm sorry, no, that's fine. Well, this is the one I printed off. What do we know?
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay, so we'll keep it at 6.1 and 6.2. 6.1 being, which we've authorized, but this is just a formal resolution, part-time summer help as we do each year, and confirming the new hire of Robert Westlake as our property maintenance officer, as well as the minutes from executive session April 15th and our May 6th work session. And further discussion? You want a roll call?
No.
All in favor on that, please?
Aye.
Thank you. Yeah. What's the weather there right now?
Same thing.
made that motion? Jackie Sinell? Hudson, and seconded by? D'Amato. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good?
Yep.
Thanks, Jane. Okay, pending business, item A, reintroduction of ordinance 10.
Well, this is that way.
10 was when we did last week. 11, 2014 bond orders for purchase of various utility supplies and equipment. Now, this is the one last meeting which I had in front of you, which council reduced to 115, but per our bond council, we needed to reintroduce. We could not amend because we voted no on the first one. So it's just a reintroduction. So who makes that motion, please? Second. Do you need to read that?
Yes, that's it.
Good. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmembers Costa?
Yes.
D'Amato? Del Ripa?
Yes.
Hudson? Yes. Sondemire?
Yes.
Yazdi?
Yes.
And that would be second and final June 24th.
Yes.
Now, a bond ordinance providing for purchase of various water utility equipment in and by the Borough of Bloomingdale and the County of Passaic, New Jersey, appropriating $115,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $115,000 bonds or notes of the Borough or financing the cost thereof.
Thank you. Next item is our second and final reading and public hearing on ordinance 3, 2014, amending Chapter 11, Building and Housing Unsafe Buildings to add a new section 1118 entitled Vacant and Abandoned Properties. Public notice statement, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this ordinance was posted in the municipal building, published in the Herald News. Copies available to the public, that a motion may be made that it be read by title.
And who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
And that's an ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale and the County of Passaic, the State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 11, Building and Housing, to add this new section 11-D entitled Vacant and Abandoned Properties to the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale.
And now need a motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak to ordinance 3, 2014, please come up. State your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And who moves to adopt?
So moved.
Sorry? Dawn and John? And just a quick discussion, just so everyone, this is the ordinance where we will now require registration of certain vacant and abandoned properties. And just to clarify, there are definitions in the ordinance. If you read, first it's important you read the first part of the ordinance where this administration finds that vacant and abandoned properties can lead to neighborhood decline and become attractive nuisances, causing the borough to incur significant costs in the form of staff or code enforcement actions seeking to maintain and ensure acceptable conditions. Vacant and abandoned properties act as significant financial drain on municipalities, requiring a disproportionate amount of municipal resources while providing minimal rate of return. A study in Richmond, Virginia indicated that all the economic and demographic variables tested vacant and abandoned properties have the highest correlation to incidents of crime. Whereas vacant and abandoned properties are a strain on resources of local police, fire, building, board of health, depreciate property values, reduce property taxes, revenue, attract crime, degrade the quality of life. Now, the ordinance itself defines very clearly what we consider an abandoned or vacant property. So I want to clarify, because there was some concern when we introduced this. This is not aimed at a strip mall that has a vacancy. It's not aimed at an example of Bank of America's building, where the owner pays his taxes, maintains the building, and the like. There's definitions where a property needed rehabilitation in the judgment of the construction code official, and there's been no rehabilitation taken in a 6-month period. This is for an abandoned building. Construction was initiated on the property, it was discontinued. At least one installment of property tax remains unpaid or delinquent. A property has been determined to be a nuisance by the construction code official. Then there's a definition of vacancy. And again, any condition that is on its own or combined with other conditions present will lead a reasonable person to believe that the property is or has been vacated for 3 or more months. Such evidence would include, but not limited to, evidence of existing of 2 or more of the following conditions: overgrown dead vegetation, accumulation of newspapers, circulars, etc., utility notices, discontinued utilities, accumulation of trash, junk, debris, the absence of window coverings, the absence of furnishings, statements by neighbors, delivering agents, etc., the property is vacant, infested, vermin, insects, and so on. So the point is, these are the blighted eyesores that we are trying to bring some accountability to, many of which are bank-owned, where there'll be a fee structure accountability, and Again, it's not the guy or owner, making the attempt to sell or occupy his building and doing the right thing. Just want to clarify that. Okay, so there is a motion on the table. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Tomato?
Yes.
Del Ripa?
Yes.
Hudson? Yes. Sondemire?
Yes.
Yazdi?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Next, we will be having a public hearing on ordinance 6, 2014, alcoholic beverage control, possession and consumption on private property. Public notice statement, please.
Mr. Mayor, this ordinance was posted in the municipal building, published in the Herald News. Copies available to the public, so a motion may be made that it be read by title.
And who makes that motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale, in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 6, Alcohol Beverage Control to add new Section 6-6.2, entitled Possession and Consumption on Private Property to the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale.
And now I need a motion for a public comment, public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak to ordinance 6, 2014, please come up, state your name and address for the record. See no one, motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Any discussion?
I know the Lawrence will be very happy with that.
Yeah, this was a recommendation on Municipal Drug and Alcohol Alliance. This is just actually giving our police department some little strength and enforceability on underage drinking on private property. Our chief is confident we don't have a great issue with the deal, but we are joining the ranks of our county municipalities. We were one of two not yet with this ordinance, so again, supporting our municipal alliance, we're moving forward on this. And any further comment? I need a roll call, please.
Councilmembers Del Ripa?
Yes.
Hudson? Yes. Sondemire?
Yes.
Yazdi?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Tomato?
Thank you. This is a reintroduction of ordinance, so you want to remember. 12. Right. So this will be 12, 2014, establishing fees for animal control to release nuisance wildlife contained by residents on private property. Reintroduced. Is it advertising or are we good? Have it set up. You have it as a reintroduction with adoption. We're ready to adopt. Right, okay, just how you title it on my agenda, which may be. Okay, so are we tracked? We will be having a public hearing on 7, 2014. It was minor materials, right?
We're still 7.
Okay, establishing fees for animal control. Public notice statement, please.
Business Mayor, this ordinance was posted in the municipal building, published in the Herald News. Copies available to the public, so a motion be made that it be read by title.
And who makes that motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's an ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale, the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 5, Animal Control, Section 5-14 fees of the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale, to provide for the establishment of fees for the Borough Animal Control to release nuisance wildlife contained by residents on private property.
And a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak to 7, 2014? Please come on.
Lady, Mrs. Van Dam.
Yes.
What do you mean by release of nuisance wildlife contained by resident?
Okay. I'll preface by stating this came from a recommendation from our animal control officer. This is they find that, and it's not a great number. I believe Mrs. Perry said there was less than 6 or 7, last year of this case, where a resident will attempt to, trap a groundhog in their garden and get a skunk instead. Now, we cannot, by law, relocate that animal. So they'll actually call our animal control to just release it from the trap. So we are putting a $25 fee in place so that because of the time, fuel, and the like spent on those kind of examples. And I believe this would apply to all the towns in the contract, not just Bloomingdale, all the towns we service. And again, I know there was conversations that we had because there was concerns about it. I personally don't even know how the ordinance is going to go this evening. I support it because it comes from my department head asking for this assistance. It's minor, but again, it takes time on our staff, who primary purpose is to deal with more domestic
Like a
animals.
rabbit, raccoon or something on your property, you call animal control.
No, if you didn't trap it and they're not releasing it, there's no fee involved.
Because there's a raccoon that like chasing my brother. I don't know who's raccoon. Scary looking.
Could have been the donuts he was carrying.
But I just wanted to find out if, if there's a rabbit animal.
No, it's trapped by a person released by us.
And I don't think anyone wants to be concerned that if they call
No.
the rabbit animal, they're going to be charged.
Correct.
Okay.
But the code already had forevermore, if you call because of a dead animal on your property, there's always been a fee for that.
Right, that's where you throw it in the
Always
street.
in the ordinance.
Throwing it in the street, remember?
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
I will.
And here's a, just want to ask, if they catch it, does that mean you guys won't relocate it if it's,
Based on wildlife rules and regs, we cannot now bring it to Wanacue and let it go, or bring it, into the woods. It's just going to be, released where it is. It's like an example of a raccoon in a garbage can. It's just going to kick over the garbage can for you. They will not trap or you release it somewhere else. Not allowed to.
Not allowed to.
It's just helping the resident, who doesn't want to touch the skunk in the cage.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, motion to close.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? And who moves to adopt?
So moved.
Rich and Tony? Any further discussion?
Yeah, is this J, the entire thing is added into this new ordinance? Removal of dead animals and release of nuisance wildlife?
No, removal of dead animals has always existed.
So all that's added on here, usually they used to bold this, what they add new to the ordinance.
Well, yeah, I don't know why it's bolding, but it's just the release of nuisance wildlife contained by resident on the property.
And I had a conversation with Lisa Perry, our animal control. It's not to say if you have a sick animal in your yard, you can't call them. That's what they did. That's what we pay our taxes for. There's no charge for removal of that animal. They're still going to show up. They're still going to do their job. This is for when, you wake up, there is a raccoon in your garbage can, and they're calling animal control saying there's a raccoon in my garbage can, come get it out. Well, that type of thing, that they're going to charge going forward.
Right. Wildlife that's found or trapped by a resident.
Doesn't matter.
In a contained situation.
As a matter of fact, they're going to take it to the edge of your property and release it right on your property. So don't think they're going to take it away from that. That's not unless it's
Are we located?
Any ideas?
There's a question I have. What about if you have a bat in your house? Okay. They test the bat, they take the bat, they have to test it.
Correct.
So that would be a $25 fee.
Release of nuisance wildlife contained by a resident on private property.
It flew in your house. That's a serious situation.
It's all serious.
They have to take it out, they have to test it for rabies. If it's in the house
Chances of
itself.
being rabbit, they will not be charged.
Yeah, I would say it's not an example because you didn't contain it.
You didn't pass the bat in.
Right. That just happened.
Yeah, that's a true story.
Like I said last week, animal control, I believe it was less than a dozen times that this occurred. That's over the year. Just
yes.
suggestions she put on the books, and I was, my department had suggestions.
She said it wasn't exactly a moneymaker, but it's more to deter those long conversations and when you show up. They got a skunk sitting in a cage and they don't want to get up there and remove it. Well,
No tower.
We're going to do
we'll do that for you, but that's
I
what.
thought in one of her emails, she said it wasn't her responsibility, it was some other state agency.
Well, correct. Wildlife, if you read the true definition of an animal control officer, it's for domestic animals. Okay?
Right.
Ours provides the service to the extent of wildlife, but they cannot relocate. So she's willing to come, at least technically, it's not a service they normally provide. It would be fishing game for wildlife.
Right, that's what I thought she said.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Hudson. Yes. Sandemeyer.
No.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Tomato.
No.
Dela Ripa.
Yes.
And now we will have a public hearing on the reappropriating of $709,000 from existing obligations, number 8, ordinance 8, 2014, public notice statement.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this ordinance is posted in the municipal building, published in the Herald News, copies available to the public. And a motion may be made that it be read by title.
And who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
An ordinance reappropriating $709,400 proceeds of obligations not used for their original purposes in order to provide the various improvements and purposes referred to herein and in by the Borough Council of the Borough of Bloomingdale, New Jersey. Bloomingdale, New Jersey.
And I need motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak to 8, 2014?
Unfortunately, I had printed out the original ordinance, but I didn't bring it with me. I know there were 6 specific areas that work was supposed to be done on, and I wanted to know which areas were under the estimated amounts. You're saying the 709,400.
If you could just, I will, let me, and I foolishly didn't bring it. Give me 1 second. I will get that information. Rich, entertain the crowd while I'm gone. I didn't even remember the laptop today.
I printed it all out. I wanted to work. I don't forget it.
Day of forgetfulness. Put YouTube on my iPad or something. I'll put YouTube on my iPad. Probably stopping to get another Pepsi. Oh.
I said you were probably stopping to get another guy.
No. Okay. I should have done. I hadn't. Hopeless I Okay. There, in the original flood bond, there was $20,000 under the animal shelter line for flood damages. There was $6,892.46 remaining in that line. Sloan Park remains and is not being touched, $641,619.56. And there, and also in miscellaneous, which is engineering, there's $3,493.50. Which I believe will be low, but the new word is defining drainage, flooding issues, so if we need, if we're short on engineering because of the recent denial, we'll go there. Van Dam, Chestnut, we had $400,000. There's $360,572.94.
No, that was for Van Dam, Chestnut.
That was the sidewalk failure in the culvert. And that was done for less than $40,000.
And also the, by Tice.
Right, the storm drain you mentioned the other day. Right, that will remain. There's 2 items of canceling that I'm going to remain in the new bond ordinance. Because the new bond ordinance, the proceeds are hereby reappropriated to provide borough-wide drainage improvements to municipal complex, municipal facilities, including the related purchase of vehicles not included to a rock body, mason dump, and improvements to various roads throughout the borough, including such roads, including the paving of such roads. We're spending about $300,000 on paving out of this, and the rest is going to, either remaining drainage problems, and I'll identify those. One being Tice Street that you mentioned, but the big savings, not savings, the big why there's so much left is the sidewalk, culvert, that was estimated at over $300,000.
What, that would be like 360.
Yeah. Excuse me.
360.
360 of the 709 is just from that one line.
Okay.
And then continuing, there was miscellaneous in that line balance, which was engineering, balance of $12,564. Desilting, Brooks, it was titled desilting, desnagging, but we desilted, we desnagged. Desilting would require DEP permitting, which, would exceed any amount of money we have. There's 40,000 in that line, there's 8,057 remaining. We've done all the desnagging in the lower area in South Street, etc. Delasier Brook erosion, there were 60,000 in there, there's 60,000 remaining. That work was done by the Aquanic River Coalition, and it was successful in their coconut wrap work they did. It's really helped that bank intact. And our DPW did work in-house on any of the fence posts that were eroding as a result of Irene and primarily Irene. Boston Culvert, which is the culvert as soon as you turn on Boston off Union, 75,000. That is remaining. I just received proposals for that work. Should be done in the next 4 to 6 weeks. $75,000.
So that is in the part of 709 also?
Yes, but it's dedicated to this project. Tice Street, 60,000. Again, is being moved, dedicated to the storm drain on Tice, which is fits into the paving we're going to do on the section of Van Dam. Knowles Road, there's a culvert on Knowles Road that goes under Knowles, about 3 houses in from Reeve, 20,000. That's staying in this bond, and that work is being done directly out of this bond. Grant Lane, 64,000. There's money put in for the reconstruction of Grant Lane, and that remains entirely 64,000 being moved to the 709. And miscellaneous, 6725 in that range. There was an overlook sinkhole that was repaired by DPW. That was 15,000. High Street erosion, 10,000. The 10,000 remains. That was done curbing to stop the problem, so that was never touched that year. And Catherine Street culvert, 25,000, and that is remaining. Unfortunately, the 25,000 was never touched. The good news there is that's being moved. Catherine Street culvert drainage problem turned out not to be groundwater or stormwater. It was actually a leaking pipe on the neighbor. So let's save us 25,000, not save us, allowed us to move that money. So again, if you're off, if you don't total 709,400, I'll give you my sheet because there might be some miscellaneous we missed there. But those are the bulk of it.
And did we receive any grants for any of these items?
We applied for the desnagging, did not receive anything for that, no. Most of the money went to down county or Quantic River area, Quantic townships or Quantic Lakes areas.
Okay.
No, we did not for any flood work.
Okay, as an aside, when I was driving the other day when it was really raining hard, Main Street,
The post office?
no, for coming towards Van Dam, all Main Street, a lot of those stores there, drains are working.
Okay.
They would just, the water just go right over.
Which is county, I'll have to,
If we're gonna have flooding, that's gonna happen, that's
sure.
just-
Well, I thought, because the biggest problem is by the post office, that is on the works.
This was before the post office.
So that, the county committed to that.
The car wash, those areas there, those drains were not working at all.
The drain across the street from the car wash goes nowhere. It's a 6-inch basin with no pipes in it. That's the county.
That whole area is,
Yeah, that's part of the post office job. Do you remember a number of years ago when we applied for our community development grant? It was CBG, Community Development Block, you might have that backwards, Community Block Development Grant, where we missed a year. That's the money we got for Henyon Street. We applied this year for Ryerson, haven't heard yet. But there was a year when we didn't get any money because the county dedicated our funding that year to that drainage you're referring to in front of the Baptist church there, or the new church by Wachovia Bank and the car wash. The pipe in front of the post office goes under towards the barber shop and the dry cleaner, and is completely failed under those buildings to the river. And there's no connection from that drainage to the one you referenced by the car wash. Look in that basin, there's no pipes, it goes nowhere. That is all part of our community block grant, which, I mean, Linda, how long was that, 3 years ago that they did this? I spoke to Deb Hoffman, who runs that program, and they tell me it's online for late summer, fall this year. But even, there's nothing you do, jet backing, there's nothing to jet back, there's no connections there. county, but we're on top of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else wishing to speak to 8/2014?
Jack Miller, Rebound.
Yes, sir.
There's, with all this stuff now from the DEP
Yes.
that we have to go back for,
Correct.
we're still gonna have enough money in this bond for all this unseen stuff, right? We're not gonna cut us short of this,
The answer
right?
is we hope so. But here's, even if we didn't touch what we're doing right now, the bond was specific dollars for each project.
Right.
So even if we were short, we still would have to reallocate money. Let's say we got 641, 619 left. Let's say the bids come in, and I believe we're gonna be well under 600,000 for the project, for our engineer. But let's say they come in at 700,000, we're 60 grand short. I would have had to, even if we've done nothing with the 709, still have had to reallocate money from somewhere. I can't just go take it because it's dedicated to Van Dam Chestnut, cleaning drains, desilting, whatever. So the 709, right now, my capital budget for this year for vehicles, we have a rack body that's entirely rusted out, a dump truck that's entirely rusted out. Those two things have to be replaced. Road paving, after all our capital plans are done, Sandra Lane was just fixed, emergency drainage up there. We got a half a dozen or so catch basins that winter killed us on. I estimate about 179,000 will remain in this bond after we've done everything. And earmarking in case there are those shortages you referenced, but we're confident that the 641 will be sufficient. I already know I'm going to be short on engineering. The bond ordinance, if you look at it, is broken down into the capital portion and the miscellaneous for engineering, surveying, the like. I only have 3,400 left in that line. I know I'm going to be short. Our new application, 13,500. I already know 13,500 is going to come out of this 709, and we have to refile.
I just don't want to cut ourselves short
No,
of that.
well aware of it.
I mean,
But it's not like cutting the 709 makes a difference, because even if we're short, I still have to reallocate from somewhere. Whether it be the new bond ordinance 814, or let's say we didn't touch this and this money sat here, I'd have still to do what we're doing, reallocate to move money from another line to there.
to that specific thing.
Yeah, okay. All right, very good. Thank you. Anyone else on 2014? Seeing no motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bear with me. And who moves to adopt?
Second.
Any further discussion?
You mentioned the paving trucks,
Yes.
179 remaining.
Roughly.
Yeah, roughly, what is the total paving?
The paving, I just got all the numbers from the co-op, Tilcon, excuse me.
It's most of
It's
it.
like 331. 331 is paving. And don't hold me to that exact number. Because remember, it's not, paving includes, when you go out to pave, all of a sudden you realize you have 6 storm drains that have to be replaced. Manholes and the like, but the bulk of it is that. And then the 2 rack bodies, they're going to be, the 2 trucks will be, we missed the deadline, so I got to wait for June pricing for 2015 vehicles. But, 60,000, 50,000 vehicle, but they're, I've done a 10-year DPW or townwide vehicle replacement plan. These are, again, I don't have 1990 vehicles, the rack body, anybody here can go witness.
Well, the one makes it completely out of service.
Right, that's already been auctioned and gone, it's still completely dead. The rack body, there's no body left.
The rack on the shop.
Shot. So
And we use those for plowing as well.
everyone's used for
And
body.
we need the bigger ones to get it closer to the curbs.
Well, none of this includes the big dump truck. That I like to do, but it's not cars we have. But we have 170, but we need to make sure we have enough for Sloan, other things that could come up. So, but again, it's specifically, remember everyone, it's specifically for borough drainage, purchase of vehicles, and paving. So, fine to those uses.
Right, various improvements gives you the flexibility
Right, well, improvements of municipal complex or facilities.
to do it without having to
Reallocate or do it.
reallocate, come back.
Yep.
What improvements are living?
Excuse me?
What improvements are living?
Well, my capital list was road paving, the trucks I spoke of.
My question is, in terms of municipal complex and municipal buildings.
Again, that's the wording of it, but for example, since I know already, improvements of municipal facilities, including purchase of related equipment, I know our construction department has made major computer problems. I need a new server in there, probably 2 more desktops. So that'll be something that will come up, Mike, that, I plan on doing. But in the forecasting was paving the trucks, drainage on Bow, and then Catherine, which we again rubbed out as not a problem anymore. Basin here at Borough Hall, you see something here as you drive in. Sandra Lane, paving, here's another. 120,000 of the 330 is just paving the DPW drive. Please drive and look at our drive. You can't get that. It's doing a number on our vehicles, there's no drainage on it. That's not the whole parking lot. That's
The minute we
drive.
approve this, so that's not a deal, we're gonna go do that.
Absolutely.
There's no discussion after this, isn't there?
Well, no. It's part of the co-op. It'll come to you for final, but I'm just gathering the numbers. But this is not the parking lot. This is just from the Union Ave to where the parking lot comes.
Help me understand that. So each one of those pavings will come back in front of us?
Well, I'll bring to you the capital, but if you're not going to approve it, then don't.
Personally, I'm not for the $120,000 to repave the DPW drive.
Okay. But again, we can have a discussion, but none of this should be news then. None of this should be news.
No, but I don't think my stance on it is news to me.
But that's the same. I also don't want to fix the basin in the driveway. But you know what? We have to. Have you driven the DPW driveway?
Yes, I have.
There's no drainage. It's a mess. Tell me soon. I've been working hard to get this done.
Well, that's my
Throwing curveballs. But continuing,
I'd rather get the
The way
big
that's
truck
set up,
that
no matter what you do, there's no drainage.
there's no drainage. That's why it's $120,000. Includes drainage, includes it's building, well, it's a wetlands, but it's just not now at all. It's not going into a storm drain. But you're rebuilding it for heavy truck traffic. So it's not just a mill and resurface, it's a rebuild. And to me, I think, because what are you going to do? That truck's going in and out all day, R's and RERs. Okay? Screws all over. Not that way. Not the way we're going to build it. Not the way we're going to build it. But again, sure, let's not do it.
If we have a need for a truck, $120,000 truck, that's what we should be doing for.
That new truck should be driving on the track.
Right.
Again, none of this should be a surprise for anybody. All of you have seen my capital plan for 6 months.
So you're right, but some of us don't agree with paving the DPW parking lot. There's other things that are better or important.
I guess the question is,
I disagree. Strong.
I guess the question is,
Would I rather see it go somewhere? Sure, but it needs to be done. It is impassable.
The question is, most of these items will come before us prior to them getting done. That's, I think, the question that everyone's asking.
You know what?
Everything should come back for this. That's just my opinion.
On the 24th, I give you my capital plan, you vote on it, you don't vote on it. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, this is a new debt. We're reallocating.
It's not a new debt.
This is
Already
Not a
in
new
place.
debt.
But what we discussed, and that's something that we need to put in as the process, before we go for new debt, to have a list and go over it. So this way, we as a council have a chance to look at it, give input, right?
And no disrespect.
Yep.
All of you have seen my 2014 budget request capital plan since January. So to tell me at this final hour you have a problem with it.
No, not at all. I'm just asking the question because you said it, that it will come back.
Continuing, I'll bring you on the 24th, all the things to vote on, and you can make your decision. Because we need to move quickly on this, otherwise we're not getting to October, like last year. The other thing was Knowles Road, the failing sidewalk and fence. That's $7,500, not the full fix, just elimination of it. And those are the primary things. There's nothing else. I had flood mapping in here, but it looks like we're going to do it. The 18th is that public meeting for the flood situation in the Roy Ave neighborhood. It looks like we're not going to have the big expenditure, and if we do, we'd have to reintroduce the assessment project. It looks like DEP's going to do our remapping, so we'll have to have that expenditure. So at curbs on Union Ave, there's flooding from the Lukoil gas station to Oak Street. Curves because the county never milled when they repaved, not last time. Because there's no curb. state water, that was like 10,000 per week. So, but none of those are estimated price. The only things that we are really close to move on is paving, Knowles, and the basin Sangerlin's done already. We approved that as an emergency, and so on. So, if you want me to bring specific items back, I'll do that. But the paving plan, the roads are per our 10-year plan, which you all voted on. The roads we're going to take, Clark Street, Sunrise, sections of Van Dam.
That's over.
Right. Would I like to take 120 and put it into more of our public roads? I don't think there's any public road in bad enough shape to not justify doing the DPW private.
No.
Sure, that's the kind of thing that drives you crazy having to do it, but it's,
I have a concern with it, and we talked about the Knowles Road sidewalk that we're going to eliminate.
Right.
I invite anyone to go up there, walk around that corner. It is a very dangerous corner. So before we pay DPW, I think that sidewalk should be replaced for people to walk on. Because it's a blind curve either direction.
I'll put that to vote, because I think it should be eliminated, because it's $75,000 to replace the sidewalk versus $7,500 to eliminate it. And there's no sidewalks in the
John, I drove by there.
Nobody walks there.
It's really not a sidewalk. It's about this wide. It holds.
It used to be wider because it all fell off into the bank right on the way.
It was never done right in the first place.
It wasn't done right the first one.
That's what I'm seeing. It's only about this wide. So you're saying it
It used to be this one. There used to be a walk.
So you have to put a wall behind it.
At the end of the day, there's a lot of people up there that walk. All right?
There's
I
no
know a lot of
sidewalks.
people up there that live there that walk.
There's no sidewalks
This
leading
is not
to
the
it or
time,
after it.
this is not the time for discussion, that's not in front of you. Okay, I'll bring that in front of you, you'll make the choice. Okay? You know my position on it, I require it from the police department, but we'll save that discussion for another day. What we're doing now is putting the funding in place to then take the next step and move on.
We need to put
June.
We need to put the verbiage in here that everything will come back to us for
Well, I think
approval or vote, is that what you're saying?
just asking is good enough.
You already, I mean, if I have the opportunity to have contractor X do that basin next Monday, I gotta bring that back to you. Oh, no, that's silly.
Just the 120,000 for the.
The 179 that's left over at the end.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no,
179,
nothing's here, obviously.
obviously.
There's just no spending against that whatsoever right now.
Bring those two items back.
But are you saying, let's say, Mike, let's say Thursday, three computers crap out, I need a new server construction. I have to wait and bring that back to you, and that's coming out on one set at a time. These
So
are,
I think before we did that, it would go to, you would notify government ops if something went wrong, something happened, we need to take care of this. Instead of just losing.
it's been going on for a lot of years.
Oh, I think there's a big difference between
That's not me.
replacing them, I think there's a big difference between replacing them and then wrapping out at the last minute. If anything goes, then yeah, that's, in my book, I would expect you
There's
to
been
do it.
Band-Aids for years.
But
I think that's in our budget also. Some type of miscellaneous for problems.
Not in the construction department, but capital expense.
Capital spend, but it didn't.
Yeah, here, this is where our capital money comes. We put in our budget, Ray, help me, 40,000 for deposit money for new debt, but we're not having to do new debt. So because we were able to reallocate this, so you're just putting it in place. I'll bring to you, talk without a quorum, committee, what you want, go in front of you, and I'm fine with that. But payments through the co-op, engineers inspected everything already, ready to go. So now there's still a discussion phase, I need a roll call, please.
Councilmember Sondermeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
D'Amato.
Yes.
Della Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson.
yes,
Okay, and item F is the public hearing on 9/2014, amending Chapter 3, littering, Section 3-3.3, and Chapter 20, streets and sidewalks, weeds, snow, and ice. What we're doing here is putting that enforcement into the control of property maintenance rather than the police for the removal of snow and ice on sidewalks. Public notice statement, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this ordinance was posted in the municipal book published in the Herald, and copies available to public. Said a motion may be made that it be read by title.
Anyone makes that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. An ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale, County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 3, Police Regulations, subsection 3-3, littering, Section 3-3.3, prohibited acts and regulated activities. In Chapter 20, Streets and Sidewalks, subsection 20-2, removal of grass, weeds, snow, and ice at the code of the Borough of Bloomingdale, provide for the enforcement of certain issues to the responsibility of the Borough Property Maintenance Officer.
Thank you. And any motion to open public comment?
So,
Second. All in favor? Anyone wishing to speak to 9/2014, please come up, take name and address for the record. See no one, motion closed.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? And who moves to adopt? Second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Giusti.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Capano.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sondemire.
Yes.
Okay, new business. First order of business is introduction of ordinance 12, 2014. This is a bond ordinance for the water main replacement, and just so everyone understands, we have the $1,076,000 interest-free loan from DEP for water line replacements. We need to introduce a bond as a bridge loan to award bids, et cetera, et cetera. We will not be accessing and borrowing this money because we will get money. We actually have enough money capital to pay bills as they come. They get reimbursed timely from DEP, but they still require, and our bond counsel is very familiar with the process, us to do this. Our only cost was the cost of the bond preparation. This needs to be done. This is not debt. We're not paying interest. We're not paying anything on it. This is the introduction of a bond, authorizing the issuance of bonds or notes, and will be recouped from DEP. We will not be debt on the books, just to clarify.
And you just put on there that it automatically cancels immediately after, right? We borrow from.
Well, the theory was, right, the bids came in.
This one cancels.
The bids came in at $360,000. As you know, the reason we're bonding the full amount is I want to ask DEP if I can move, don't know the dollar amount yet. We got DOT money to rebuild Star Lake Road, including storm drainage, which doesn't exist now at all, and curbing. I want to see if DEP will allow us to move money to replace that water line. We have over 7 to 9 water breaks in the last 4 years. That line needs to be replaced. I don't know, if they say no, we cancel it immediately. If they say yes, and it's $250, then we go back to here and we cancel the balance of whatever it is.
Right, but then that would automatically transfer to the 0% rate as well.
Correct.
Right, so this would cancel.
You can cancel the full $1,076,000.
Exactly.
And the bond council can come out of here, $14,000. Engineering is coming out of the million. I mean, at the end of the day, can I sit here and say zero will come out of here for the projects? No, I can't. Will more than $1,050,000 be canceled? Easily. Yeah, absolutely.
Just saying, if there's a way of putting it in
The language in there?
Yeah.
Right now, we're just introducing it by title. Before we advertise, Jane, you can reach out to, it would be bond counsel, to see if we can add the language, which I agree 100% with, that any remaining balances will be canceled immediately upon completion of the DEP project. That's be specific to the DEP, so that future governing bodies don't take this and roll this into utility debt, not related to the DEP project. Okay. So again, I apologize. We have a motion. Okay. So let's get introduction, and who moves that?
So,
Second. And roll call, please. Sorry?
And that would be June 24th, 7 p.m.?
Yes.
Councilmembers Costa.
Yes.
Tomato. Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sondemire.
Yes.
Yost.
yes.
So, I'm sorry.
And that would be bond ordinance providing for the water main replacement project in and by the Borough of Bloomingdale, New Jersey, appropriating $1,076,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,076,000 bonds or notes for the Borough for financing the cost thereof.
And just for the record, the bond clearly says water main project replacement is on poplar, birch, chestnut, oak, and first. So it's specific to that, to those. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Item B, Adoption resolution 2014 6.3, authorizing chapter 159 for our clean communities. Whenever we receive grant money after the budget's adopted, we need to do a 159, chapter 159, to incorporate that into the budget, the amount of $12,417.56. Who makes that motion?
Second.
And any further discussion?
That's what we received?
That's the amount we received, $12,417.56. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Tomato?
Yes.
Delariva?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Sondemire?
Yes.
Yazdi?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
And Mike, copy the checks attached here, but as a solid waste, combining with.
Yep, that's easier.
Okay, next item is resolution 2014 6.4, renewal of various liquor licenses. The resolution in front of you identifies those, but we will be tabling one of them. We will be approving tonight Salina Inc., Shrey Sai Inc., which is Turnpike Liquors, HMT Inc., Buy Right Liquors, and GB Krishna Bloomingdale Discount Liquors, and club license for the Bloomingdale Fire Department. So the Timmy K Inc. is just being tabled. There's some housekeeping to do on that. We'll bring that back on the 24th. Otherwise, who makes the motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Delariva?
Yes.
Hudson? Yes. Sondemire?
Yes.
Yazdi?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Tomato?
Then we have resolution 2014 6.5, supporting the International Residential Code, requiring fire sprinklers in one or two family dwellings and townhomes. Okay, this came to us through the League of Municipalities and the Building Officials Association. Considering the amount acceptable that 20% more than 3,000 people in the United States are killed in fires each year, an overwhelming number of deaths occur in homes. New Jersey Builders Officials Association, New Jersey Fire Protection desire to have positive consequential impact by reducing the nation's losses due to fire. Whereas the New Jersey Building Official Association and the New Jersey Fire Protection Association recognize that fire sprinklers present a proven, reliable, efficient, and effective method of protecting the life and property, both commercial and residential. So we are supporting the adoption of 2015 International Residential Code, New Jersey edition requiring fire sprinklers, and we'll be sending to our legislatures as the same. So who makes that motion, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Hudson? Yes. Sondemire?
I'm going to abstain.
Yazdi?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Tomato? Delariva?
Yes.
Next item is resolution 2014 6.6, chapter 159 for an interlocal service agreement for Livingston School District, which we do each year, but contract complies after budget adoption, the amount of $38,489. This is an interlocal municipal service agreement with the Livingston Board of Education for construction services offered by our construction department. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sondemire?
Yes.
Yazdi?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Tomato?
Yes.
Delariva?
Yes.
Hudson? Yes.
I need a motion to appoint Mary Knight as a new member to the Environmental Commission for an unexpired 3-year term, which will expire 12/31/14. I'd like to thank Councilman Costa for, as liaison, helping fill that seat. Who makes that motion? So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Other than welcome to Mary. Opposed? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Yazdi?
Yes.
Costa?
Yes.
Tomato?
Yes.
Delariva?
Yes.
Hudson? Yes. Sondemire?
Yes.
And resolution 2014 6.7, resolution supporting the new federal transportation program. I ask the governing body to support public transportation continues to gain riders and supplement shortfall in funding. Public transportation and other alternatives that help alleviate traffic, minimize pollution, accommodate our underserved and environmentally aware residents. Whereas road, highways, transit, bridge improvements have traditionally enjoyed bipartisan support in Congress, and whereas federal transportation program expires September 30th, 2014, and federal funding may run out before that time. Whereas the federal tax on gasoline has not been raised since 1993, and the U.S. Department of Transportation has warned states that funding projects will cease. I ask you to support the endorsement of the Transportation Act to fund it continually. This is where we get a lot of our funding for road improvement and the state does as well for their highway program. So who makes that motion, please?
So,
Any further discussion? This will be sent to all our legislatures and Congress and recognize it as well. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Costa.
Yes.
Tomato. Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
I have one non-agenda item. I said at the beginning I had two, but the Environmental Commission member was on the agenda. So I have one non-agenda item, and that is a need for motion to approve the following. We have a new resident who purchased the house in Campy Lake, and there was some errors on updating the deed in the building system here in Bloomingdale, and keeping the old owner's name on it. Long story short, interest accumulated on a delinquent notice, which has been paid in full, in the amount of $271.85. I'm asking to waive the interest amount of $271.85 for this resident, because it really was what he was doing on his email. Who makes that motion, please?
so moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? And roll call, please.
Councilmembers Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Thank you. And I now need a motion to open the late public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak, please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Up to 86 Camden. John, Ray, excuse me, for addressing that, because the money came from your old bonds instead of new debt, that doesn't, it's not a big deal.
I always said it wasn't a big deal.
I mean, regardless of whether it's old debt or new debt, if it was old debt, you couldn't cancel and have new debt coming out, so it's still spending the money. So it doesn't really make any difference. I mean, even addressing that, I don't understand the rationale for that.
Well, just so you understand, it's more of the restrictions that you have in this body versus the business world. In business world, what makes sense, you make a decision and you get it done. But here, it takes months to get things done. And when you have a restrictive bond ordinance that's specific to certain items in comparison to one that gives you more flexibility so you can move on things, those were my comments around why we're moving it and this one being more.
Well, okay, no one said it. No one said it's not a big deal. It's just a big deal.
But, I mean, but even
It's
just,
spending, yes.
but even addressing whether it's old debt or new debt, it really shouldn't make a difference.
Well, no, it does, because it doesn't change the bottom line. At the end of the year, when you do your financial debt statement, you will not have an increase in debt. That's
Well,
fact.
you could have had a decrease in debt if you had used the old bond, paid that
Correct,
off.
but you wouldn't have paid 9 roads, and you wouldn't have fixed 16 failed basins. How do you do both? I mean, give me the answer.
No, I'm just saying, but even to address the fact whether it's old debt or new debt,
No one took light of that.
I don't know if it's the rationale for even saying it's debt, period.
But it's not new, true or false, it's not new debt.
Well, it would not, if you had used the old bond that we had, for the flooding,
Which we did.
and paid it off, if you weren't using it, then you would have taken it out and used it. But so in other words, you're making it appear as if you're not using.
No one's making it appear as anything but what it is. It's existing debt reallocated for other capital projects that are desperately needed in the borough, but the fact remains, it is not new debt.
Yes, I understand that, but what I'm also trying to emphasize is the fact that you have this debt, when it was set up, it was for specific projects. Just like you say, water.
Correct.
It was for specific projects, and you reallocated.
And if there was language in there that said it can only be spent on those specific and cancel, you're right. We have to cancel it and borrow new money to do, projects that will do this year capital. But still, at the end of the day, there'd be no increase on your balance sheet of your debt obligation, because if you cancel it and then borrow, it's the same point. So reallocating is not new debt.
Yeah, if you're using it for purposes other than what it was originally.
Well, right, again, I don't disagree with you, but if you canceled it and then went and borrowed new, your net debt would remain the same. If you borrowed the same amount.
Right. Okay, well, so the sidewalks that you were talking about, where are those sidewalks?
Knowles Road has a curve. There's no sidewalks on Knowles from Ratkin to Union Ave.
That part of that.
So that means yes.
Okay? But there is a section of sidewalk on the sharp end.
Okay.
And we imagine, Mike living here his whole life said, years ago they put that sidewalk in for any walker, but I think primarily walkers probably to Martha B. Day, but any walker. Because when you walk in the street anywhere else, when you get to that curve, and it is an odd curve, it definitely would be safer to hop on a sidewalk and walk it.
Now, was that paid for with grant money?
No, that's been there, I don't know, that's probably been there since the 70s, you know?
I grew up a little bit around the corner.
So it's failed, it's shot, something needs to be done. So the debate amongst the council is, we have two options, to spend $75,000, $80,000 and rebuild it, reshore up, because if the slope is just a drop off,
So
what, behind Copechi's, Mike, is that part of the home?
No,
Where would it be behind?
that comes down Jeffrey Drive.
For Jeffrey Drive.
Where it's
Okay,
failing,
okay, right,
it
Jeffrey
fails
Drive.
down to Jeffrey Drive.
Okay, that's Jeffrey.
No, it's not.
Matthew's third.
No, where it's failing is Jeffrey Drive. It's Hurley's, 7 Jeffrey Drive. It's her backyard. As you come up Jeffrey and make a left, that's where the failing is.
Yeah, but Jeffrey Drive winds this way around.
Yeah, it does.
The first 100 feet is Jeffrey Drive. The rest of it goes up by Matthew's Terrace.
Okay.
The first 100 feet is failing.
So the two options are rebuild it, reshore that wicked slope, put a new sidewalk, new fencing, and/or just eliminate it. So there's no sidewalk there. Put it in stone and be done with
But
it.
it's not personal, someone's property.
No, it's borough easement, borough right away. So that's the debate, you know, reaching out for input on engineering, reaching out for input on police department. You know, it's a big difference in the cost of both options.
Okay, the other one I was curious about is the sprinkler.
Sprinkler ordinance, it's resolution, I'm not ordinance, it's resolution that we'll send to our legislatures to consider looking at the, building code statewide as far as,
New building.
new construction.
New construction.
No, new construction.
No, it's new construction and people put the sprinklers in, which a lot of
A
people
lot of
are
people do,
doing.
a lot of people do. Okay, we haven't gotten there yet. Thank you. Anyone else, please, wishing to speak?
That was my question.
Jack Miller, Rebath. Question. I know Mr. Johnson in the car wash, he's a big proponent of helping us out. That's really where a lot of the water comes from,
Correct.
behind there.
Yep.
Has anybody, or would anybody, approach him to see if he would do something with a little wall behind his property?
We
to
will
help
still
out?
need the same permit process we're going through. Anything that could change the rate of the river,
Right,
at a 100-year storm,
right.
he would need to be going through the same process.
Even though his banks and stuff are washed out in the back.
We have, even though, correct. Now, we do have permission from Mr. Johnson, so we're in constant communication with him,
Right.
that if there's an oncoming storm, prediction, we have the right to go on his property and sandbag the heck out of it to, in the meantime, prevent it from toppling, which will occur. Yeah,
That's the spot to do it.
absolutely.
Okay.
It tops a little bit, at Alcovy event, but not too bad.
Not too bad.
But it's
More by
all there. And also at the corner of Sloan Park, and, where the river first comes around the bend. Takes out the sidewalks, remember, it took out the road,
Yeah.
those two spots. And the
And by the
project
old-
would eliminate both those
By
spots.
the old meat market there, so by the dumpster in that corner.
But That's by cars too.
Same.
But he would have to go through the same, permit process, because the issue is, all the models you have to show, with anything you're gonna do on riverbanks is the change in flow, not today, as a 100-year storm. And the whole issue with our situation was, at the final hour, the DEP didn't think we modeled the 100-year storm accurately enough. And we know we did, and it ended up, what created that 1-inch difference in what I believe the objector presented and what we presented, is our numbers were all based on leaving the culvert, the hole in the park, which obviously makes the water leave town quicker, therefore lowering an inch. They're saying, well, 100-year storm would have been an inch and a half more. Well, the reason our model's showing otherwise is because the culvert, we're leaving. So our engineers are going to calculate if that culvert was still there, filled in, we would bring exactly to where the 100-year storm would project. So
I
that's
think he was below that anyway. When he brought that to the flood committee, he was below that anyway.
below flood, 100-year storm.
Absolutely.
But, it's a lot of variables. But, yeah, we were in constant contact with Mr. Johnson, and, we're going to end up doing.
It's just unbelievable.
You have no idea. You have no idea. You got to come to the DEP with me. You'll have
Listen, I deal with it. The PS, with the shop I'm in, gets flooded when it looks like it's going to rain.
I must say,
So,
I
understand.
must say, I'm on the public record, thank you. We have a liaison from the governor's office, every town does, and I'm sure this woman has regions, her name is Cindy Rendazzo. I've been in communication with her for the past year, but when I needed her most now, she just came through. She was at all our recent meetings. She actually had the Executive Director of the Land Use Division of DEP, present at this meeting. And it was an eye-opener for himself. Some of the, he was like, why is Bloomingdale here 3 times? 3 applications last year, 16 permits. Why is Bloomingdale still here? Why are we, doing what we're doing? It was interesting how some of their own high administrators were surprised at what we've been going through. So I think we'll be okay, but then we got to worry about an appeal, because that recycle things again.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else, please? Seeing no one, motion to close. We will be going to executive session. We have 3 matters of negotiation, 1 matter of potential litigation, and 1 personnel issue as well. We will take a 5-minute recess. Consideration of executive session business will be given the opportunity for the public to speak if actions to be taken. We will take a 5-minute recess. Yes, motion to enter an executive. All in favor? Aye. 8:14, we'll take a 5-minute. 9:37 p.m. Use my resolution.
6.8.
I need someone to move resolution 2014 6.8, which is a resolution of Borough of Bloomingdale authorizing the settlement of a tax appeal involving block 49.01, lot 53 through 96 Demers Road. Original assessment 269, proposed assessment 235. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? How do you vote?
No.
Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Della Ripa.
Yes.
Hudson. Yes. Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasti.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Tomato.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye.